welcome to those of you who are watching after the fact. Please note that the timestamps will be in the description below, and I really do appreciate the view. I say this every week, and I mean it every week. For those of you watching live at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, we are on track to start at 10 p.m. on the dot. I will just do a little something to get ready, so there might be a minute added to the timer, but I doubt it. So stay tuned, enjoy Otis McDonald, you know the deal. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Hello, I'm here. Whoops. Let me turn this down a little. I am here, and I now have some new eye candy. How's it going, everyone? My name is Sydney. Welcome to the SydStream. Let me turn this music off abruptly like I do every week. And, wait, where is it? It's here. Boom. All right. How's everyone doing? I am glad you're here. Just as a warning, earlier today, there have been a couple brownouts. So if ever like this stream suddenly just goes dead in the middle of a sentence, that's probably what's happening. I hope it won't come to that, but you know, just warning you. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that, well, first of all, whether you're watching live or after the fact, please hit the like button. It really does help the channel out a lot, and I really appreciate it. I do appreciate you watching regardless. So yeah, like I was saying, that I have some new eye candy. The first one you saw when I came on camera. The other one is this plugin that I installed, which lets me do neat little transitions like this one. The funny thing is, like, as far as the performance of my computer is concerned, I've had this plugin installed for months. I just never took the time to set it up. So that's really nice. And it brings us one step closer to the ever ethereal or ephemeral countdown to competency. When that timer hits 0, I will officially be a competent streamer. The reason why it is so long is because I only do this for an hour a week. So I just wanted to, you know, underline that. We don't have that much to cover, but the first topic, which was supposed to like be just a warm-up, is actually something that I'm gonna geek out on for a while. So before we get to the Project Veritas stuff, thank you very much for liking. Holy shit, 3 people and 3 likes. Thank you. So yeah, before we get to the Project Veritas shit, I'm gonna geek out on comic books because I'm really happy with what happened. Hey, Dar Shady, glad you can make it. Let me just take a swig here. And actually do this. All right. Actually, before I do that, I should at least prepare the segment. It won't be too long. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I essentially started on time, but at the cost of forgetting to do one thing. Fortunately, this extra step didn't take that long, so I'm glad. So let me just continue preparing here. I think your camera lens has some drips on it. If you're talking about this, that's on my wall, which I've yet to clean. There was a calendar that I had there for a while. If not, I'm not sure what gives you that impression, but yeah. The risk reward ratio of wiping off the lens of my camera midstream is just not there. Is that everything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Yeah. Man, this pushes all the right buttons of mine, so I'm really happy. Okay. I think I should be good. Okay. Yeah, I will wash my walls eventually. That is on my to-do list because, people can actually see this now. Okay. I'm going to do that real quick and we're ready to get started. Actually, wait. Now we are. So, I last week Flash Annual 2021 was released and I got to say um leading up to this, I was really worried that I might have to ditch DC Comics entirely. But Flash Annual 2021 came in for the save, and I could not be happier. Just before we get into it, though, I just want to make it clear if you're not up to date with all things Flash, this will contain spoilers. I'm not sure of what yet, but if you care about that stuff, pause this video, go in the description and see what I will be talking about because I'm not sure yet. So, just to get most of you up to speed as far as where I stood with DC Comics up until now, they recently had a crossover event, which I really loved, Dark Knight's Death Metal, and it ended in yet another reboot of the DC universe. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. If DC is going to reboot their universe every 5 years, I'm tapping out for this one. I'll see in 5 years when you reboot your universe again, and maybe I'll tag along that way. But of course, I'm going to at least continue to read Flash comics because the Flash is my favorite superhero, tied with Spider-Man, and you know, rebooting your universe 3 times in 15 years isn't enough to get me to abandon my favorite superhero. So after a brief stint of Barry Allen not having super speed, I'm not kidding, we got introduced to a more formal reboot of Flash, of the Flash series. And at first, the first arc was essentially Quantum Leap, but with Wally West. So Wally would teleport into a speedster at some point in time and have to resolve some like speed force explosion before like it destroys, you know, a huge part of the world at that time. And he's kind of like bouncing back and forth through the timeline, fixing plugs in the Speed Force. Actually, the I should give a quick explanation of what the Speed Force is. So the Speed Force is many things, but the main ones is it's the source of the DC Speedster's superpowers. So any speedster taps into the Speed Force to run at super speed. And it's also essentially speedster heaven. So especially in the 90s, they really did a good job of playing this balance. But the premise was if a speedster runs fast enough, at a certain point they're going to like hear the call and they're just going to be tempted to run faster and faster, and essentially eventually if they keep running at that speed they'll just enter the Speed Force never to return, because why would you voluntarily leave heaven, you know? So that was that. And like I was saying, Wally West was bouncing around in time, fixing plugs in the Speed Force before this major explosion happens, and it was interesting enough to keep me going. But after like the third or fourth bounce, I was like, y'all better start dropping hints as to who's behind this really fast, because it's getting old, you know. Enter Flash Annual 2021. Now, before we get into that, I just want to tie into something, because there was an event in the DC. There was a mini series published a couple years ago called Heroes in Crisis, and the reason I'm getting into this is because the last jump just before Flash Annual was Wally jumped into himself during Heroes in Crisis. And Heroes in Crisis, just to give an explanation of it, it was it centered around a place called Sanctuary, okay? And Sanctuary is essentially where superheroes go for therapy, which was a very interesting read because you get to see a part of superheroes that you never see. Like mental health in the superhero world is like largely ignored. I mean, why would you pay attention to that? It's a power fantasy, right? So it was really interesting to see that side of superheroes. I'll elaborate in a second. Now, in Heroes in Crisis, Wally West was one of the people who was at Sanctuary. And during the events of Heroes in Crisis, at some point, Wally loses control of his powers, and it causes this explosion, killing everyone who was there at the time. And naturally, Wally felt super guilty about this. So, you know, at the conclusion of the previous issue of The Flash, where he jumps into himself at Sanctuary just before that fucking explosion where he killed everyone, it was a very traumatic event. And he's like, "Oh no, please don't make me relive this again." But at the same time, it was also bittersweet because he essentially learned that he's not the one who killed all those people. It was the explosion in the Speed Force that he had been dealing with up to this point, and Sanctuary just so happened to be one of those explosions. And since he was the speedster, of course it was focused around him. So that was really cool. Now, before I continue, I just want to yes, exactly, Darth Shady. He merges with his past self. You absolutely understood that. So before I continue with what happened in Flash Annual, because there's another part that I found really cool, I just want to reiterate how Heroes in Crisis was really interesting because the way it was set up. Because obviously these are superheroes, they have secret identities. You can't just have these people spilling the beans and the risk of that information getting out. And, you know, embarrassment is one thing, but your secret identity getting out and putting all your loved ones as risk is a very serious thing, right? So the way it worked was there would just be this room where a hero could just vent into a camera. And there was also some kind of like holodeck where if they felt that they needed to, they could program the holodeck and relive certain things to just like, you know, help with the processing. And I'm not going to read all this, but again, like you got to see a side of, for instance, Superman that you never see. Let me just, this is on Pinterest. And I'm not going to read all of this, but it was really fascinating watching this guy saying, you know, I grew up as Clark Kent, a Kansas kid. Then I discovered that I had other parents and that I have powers. And this is the part that I want to reread because I remember reading this a couple years ago and finding it really fascinating. Yeah, I didn't want people to know I was Superman, so I had to make Superman different from Clark. I adjusted them. Clark was clumsy, Superman was reliable. But if I adjusted each to be further away from me, then which one was I? Or was I neither? Is Clark Superman trying to be flawed? Or is Superman Clark trying to be better? Yeah, I really loved the therapy sessions of some of these people, and one in particular, like of all the people that you would not expect to have open up, fucking Bruce Wayne is you really wouldn't expect him to open up. And case in point, there are two silent panels here, and the only one in which he speaks in this one, like I forget, there was probably more, but it's like, I train partners to work with me. They become my family. I've watched so many of them die. And then another silent panel. Again, if you get a chance to read Heroes in Crisis, I would really recommend it if you're into that thing. But the part that was really interesting for me, like personally, is because when the not only did we learn that that Wally didn't kill these people, it just so happened to be like, it's not that Wally killed all these people, it's that he happened to be at the wrong place at the right time. Like, he was the speedster at Sanctuary when the Speed Force explosion happened, and that's it. And then the reveal happened, and I gotta say, this was very awesome for me because the person behind it happened to be one of my favorite characters in the Flash world. And the funny thing is, like, as soon as he started speaking, I knew it was him. I couldn't find that page, but I'm just going to read this. So he's at Sanctuary, the explosion is about to happen, and then this voice springs forth from the Speed Force, and it says, "Ah, so that's how it was able to push me out, using one of its former slaves to do its bidding. But I am no slave. I am its master, the chosen one, he who was foretold to become one with this great power." And that's when it was revealed that the person behind it was Savitar. Savitar was first introduced in the 90s. This was back when I was still reading physical comic books. I actually have Savitar was introduced in a series called Dead Heat, and I actually have the issues of Dead Heat in that cabinet behind me. And Savitar was basically a speedster who went crazy, and he declared himself the god of speed, which is why when he was saying that, like, I am the master of the Speed Force, I knew it was him. And his 2021 makeover was really nice. The funny thing is, when Savitar in Dead Heat, where he was introduced, the solution that they found was, hey, if you want to be the god of the Speed Force, we're going to give you what you want. So in essence, they defeated Savitar by pushing him into the Speed Force, and that's where he was trapped. And a couple years later, during Flash Rebirth, where Barry Allen came back to life, there was a very, very brief appearance by Savitar, which I was, it was very bittersweet for me because when he appeared in Flash Rebirth, I was like, yeah, Savitar's back. But unfortunately, he mysteriously, like, aged into dust a couple pages later. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try to see if I can find that page. Just give me a second. Won't be too long. Should be pretty easy, actually. Yeah, exactly. Shit. Okay, I'm getting too many false positives. Is that it? No, okay. Sifting through all this is going to take too long. But in essence, like I said, Flash, Savitar pops out of the Speed Force, and then Barry catches up to him a couple pages later. And as soon as Barry touches him, he, like, ages into, like, a dusty skeleton, like Indiana Jones style. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. So yeah, I was really happy to see him come back. So the fact that this quantum leap thing that that we've been going through for the last couple months ended in Savitar being behind the whole thing, and also tying back to Heroes in Crisis, where we learned that finally Wally West was feeling guilty all these years for nothing. It wasn't his fault that all those people died. So that was really, really cool. But unfortunately, there is a consequence which I'm not sure what I think of, but those of you who were here last week heard me talk about jobbers, which is a wrestling term used for wrestlers who are low card and their only function is to be defeated by the main eventers in the roster and also to make them look good. So a jobber will always lose, but always make the main eventer look good. And when I was reviewing Black Widow, I said as a rule of thumb, because essentially supervillains always lose in superhero comics. Of course they do. But the real question is, how long does it take? Like, does it take a 6-part series or maybe more, or are they like swiftly defeated in the same issue that they're revealed in? Well, unfortunately, as much as I love Savitar, and Dead Heat was like, I think it was a 6-part series. Actually, wait. The Flash, Dead Heat. Yeah, it was a 6-part miniseries. So, half a year, that's respectable. However, the next 2 times that Savitar appears, he's defeated in the same issue. So, my favorite superhero, one of my favorite supervillains in the Flash world is now a jobber. The fucking god of speed, or the self-proclaimed god of speed, is a jobber, which, I don't know what I feel about that, but I do know that he was defeated in a way that that hints that he can return anytime, which, anyone can return at any time. No one ever dies in comics, but some deaths are more dead than other deaths, and the way that he popped into a portal or was yanked into a portal at the end hinted that his return is likely to be in a couple years, as opposed to like 5 to 10 years or whatever. So I'm really happy that so far the first arc of the Flash in this new rebooted DC universe, I give it a thumbs up. I think they drew it out 1 or 2 beats too much to the for my liking, but the wait was worth it. I love Savitar. And who is your favorite supervillain? Please leave a comment in the section below. If you like this video, please like the video. I hope you enjoyed this. I do these streams every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Doesn't make sense that he'd die so fast if his reveal was supposed to be oomphy. Well, the thing is, like, it depends on how you see it, because I'm gonna have to process that. Like, I get what you mean. Like, on one hand, he had been behind these explosions, but at the same time, that's not really satisfying. Like, he didn't fight anyone. He was just like trying to take over the Speed Force, and the Speed Force was essentially trying to vomit him out, which is what the explosions were. And that's not the same thing as having, the villain like actively plotting and conniving and getting away from it for 6 months and avoiding capture. It's not the same thing. So I get what you're saying. I kind of agree with you. I guess I have a positive bias towards Savitar, which is why it's more difficult for me to accept that. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna prepare the next segment. Just give me a second here. Actually, I'll do that. Wow, that segment didn't last as long as I thought it would. I had a lot of bullet points here, so I was afraid that it would take much longer than it actually did. So I'm happy. Uh, I like Thanos. Almost feel for him. Hey Henry, did you read Thanos in the comic books, or were you only exposed to him through the MCU? I'm curious. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I'm curious because if you saw him in the comics, that changes a lot. Only MCU, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to no, that. Yeah, I'll do the timestamps after. Nope. I gotta say, Henry, as someone who read the comics a long time ago, I'd say overall they did a good job with Thanos. Given the changes that they made, I'd say it's an overall plus. It's an overall win. Actually, yeah, I'll prepare this one in advance though. Yeah, that'll do. So, yeah. I'm not familiar enough with MCU and the villains, but if we're doing Marvel, I like Magneto as a villain. Oh man, Magneto is amazing. Holy shit. Um, Magneto's amazing. Uh, I I feel I've gone on enough rants about how amazing what they're doing with the mutants in Marvel right now is, so I'm gonna spare you. But it's the current iteration of Magneto is really good. It's like the climax of everything he's done in the past into this new world that the mutants are creating. I fucking love it. Um, Darth Shady. Oh, and Henry too. And I will say this: I highly, highly, highly endorse and recommend you getting your hands on House of X. Uh, if you like Magneto, you will love what he's becoming. Maybe I'll go on a quick rant later when we play Stardew Valley. Okay, so yeah, it's 10:30. We got plenty of time. Oh, let me just this. Oh yeah, this is gonna be difficult. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna go into it. Ooh, this. Actually, wait. I'm just gonna do a quick sound test just to see my levels. because it's going to be relevant. We're going to be watching some video.
Power, deception, propaganda.
Yeah.
A new book by James O'Keefe. Pre-order now.
Nope,
at
that's too much.
AmericanBookBreaker.com.
My name is David Johnson. I'm a packaging.
Okay, that'll do. And it's almost perfect at the first timestamp, so we're going to get into that in a second. Yeah. Barn doors will be open, yeah. Okay, I'll take one more swig and then we can get started. Just a quick note, like I'm having this more permanent setup is giving me incentive to play around with how I place this mic, where it's not in the way, but I can still speak into it. And when I'm looking at my computer and I'm not thinking to turn a little towards the mic, sometimes I might sound a little softer. I have no idea what you're referring to, Breck. That is too long. Miguito Quiote Loveless. That was too high level for me, but I'm glad you're here. I'll pin all. Okay. Okay. So we talk about Project Veritas a lot on this channel. And last time I mentioned the concept of a whistleblower economy, which is sprouting forth right under our noses. And I'm going to say this many times throughout this video. I don't know if I think this is a good thing or a bad thing. It's just really fascinating to me to watch this happen. This is new to my eyes. And something that I said in the last video where I talked about April Moss and Ivory and Joy. Something I mentioned in the last video was the concept that jamais deux sans trois, as the French expression goes. You will never have two of something without having a third. Well, this Sunday, Project Veritas dropped a video with a new whistleblower, and we will get into the details of that. However, what's really interesting about this particular one is that it regards another issue which we have talked about on this channel before, which is critical race theory. So I would like to introduce you to David Johnson. So like I said, there's a bunch of timestamps here, and you're gonna see me switch back and forth between my Notion notes. Actually, you know what? I'm going to place an edit point right here. I'm gonna try something. Whoops. Yeah. I'm not gonna start this segment over, but I will. Nice. Excellent. So now I can look at my Notion notes. Okay, so the only thing that does for you is that it hides it. Okay, that's acceptable to me. So, David Johnson is a packaging engineer for Hasbro, and before you laugh at that, package design is serious business, especially when you're in the toys industry. So yeah, I just wanted to say that as someone who listens to design podcasts, packaging and how to design a package is it's a serious discipline. So let me just play a couple clips from this Project Veritas video, and we will discuss them. The first one shall be this one.
Now at AmericanMuckraker.com.
My name is David Johnson. I'm a packaging engineer for Hasbro. They are attempting to covertly push CRT, critical race theory, through branding and messaging through their products. I decided to come to Project Veritas because I opposed the indoctrination of children that they wanted to push.
Explain what we're looking at here.
This is the program developed by the Conscious Kid, which is working with Hasbro to teach children about racial bias at an early age.
Is this a mandatory all-hands training?
Yes, it was mandatory for me.
Children as young as 2 are already using race to reason about people's behaviors.
2-year-old racists is just an absurd concept.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. By age 3, children are already starting to apply stereotypes. They also may use racist language intentionally at this age.
I think this is where the math starts to slip a little bit.
Is this what people are talking about regarding critical race theory?
This is critical race theory in practice. They explain that the white children in particular have the particular bias against black people. It's a mainstream ideology now, and it's in a lot of our institutions. People that I've
All right. Well, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but there was a lot to unpack in that. Let me see here. So yeah, the first thing is the notion of young children using intentionally racist language. The key question that that I would ask these trainers if I had them in front of me, which might have been addressed in the training, but I suspect that even if it was, it wouldn't be addressed to our satisfaction, which is, what is racist? What do they consider to be racist? Now, what we just saw was a kind of a preview before the actual that was like the highlight reel before the actual interview begins. So let me just skip to another timeline here, another time stamp. Again, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but there are a lot of clips in here worth unpacking. So remember when I spoke of the whistleblower economy in my last video, I mentioned how the part of what makes whistleblowing a courageous act is that you're risking like your livelihood to expose your employer's wrongdoings. And with what Project Veritas is doing, it kind of enters into the consideration that one might go through when pondering whether or not to blow the whistle. So I just want to make one thing clear by playing this segment here.
Need to know this is being pushed onto their children.
And have you ever done this before, like blown the whistle, recorded, and published?
Never.
But it occurred to you instantly to do it.
Yes.
Had you seen what we had done previously or known about whistleblowers?
I've known about Project Veritas for a little while, and I've seen some of your previous whistleblowers, and I've always thought it was just amazing that people would step forward and just risk everything to just get a message across. Didn't ever think I would be one of those people, but here I am.
So yeah, in his defense, just to be super charitable here, when he said he'd seen the last couple whistleblowers, that might not necessarily mean Ivory or Joy. So that might not be it. But if he is talking about those two ladies, the notion of risking everything, it's the game has changed. So the funny thing is, and this is the sad thing about this, because again, I want to live in a world where if you know your boss is doing something shady, that you can feel that you can tell people and not necessarily put your livelihood at risk, right? And in fact, be pretty well off. However, with each whistleblower that Project Veritas does this for, it becomes less and less easy. Let me rephrase that. For each subsequent whistleblower that Project Veritas does this with, it's going to be harder and harder to be charitable towards these people, and to think that that they're not necessarily doing it for the money, because we will look into those numbers in a second. But I really want to focus on the contents of the video here. So let me skip to this other timestamp where we will. I'll have a little more to say on this, because this is the actual brunt of it. Let me just. Wait. Yeah, let's do it that way.
Choose to believe.
Let's take a look at the tape of the training.
I think we
that
should.
you recorded.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. There was research that looked at how by 6 months, infants living in a homogenous or same race neighborhood showed preferences for faces from their own racial groups, whereas infants living in more racially diverse environments did not show that same preference for their own racial group. And this is really important because we see that early.
So yeah, like I don't know where these people are coming from, but the notion that young infants, 3 to 6 months old, they're not even 1 yet, that they have a preference for faces and people who look like mommy and daddy as far as skin color is concerned. That makes sense, and I have no trouble believing that this is documented. The problem that I have is, like, are we calling this, like, is it racist? I think it's really weird to imbue the notion of racism on a 6-month-old, even though and they alluded to this in the very clip that we're talking about. If you've never if all you have around you are people who look like mommy and daddy, then yeah, it would make sense that you feel safe around people who look like mommy and daddy. Let us continue.
Exposure to different races is impacting these preferences before babies are even 1 year old. Children as young as 2 are already using race to reason about people's behaviors, and we may see this play out in daycare or on the playground, in how kids are starting to choose or exclude playmates and friends.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. I don't know enough about this particular thing to comment, but let's continue, because I got more to say once we climb up the age ladder.
By 2 years old, quote, already using race to reason about people's behavior, and they exclude kids on playgrounds.
Yeah.
Shocking.
2-year-old racists is just an absurd concept. I don't think at 2 years old, most of them know how to read or write. Many of them may, well, I would hope they know the alphabet by 2, but I think it's absurd to just state as fact that at 2 years old, the children are going to be racist and using race to reason about who they're going to play with and discriminating based on.
Conscious Kid, which is the contractor that Hasbro works with.
Yes.
And does this. Is this mandatory training?
This one was.
Yeah, okay. Well, this part isn't as interesting. Let me just skip to that. Oh. Great. Okay, good. I froze for a second there. Okay, good. The stream is back. Sorry about that. Yeah. Actually, let me read a couple of these chats here. You are still stepping out of your current career path. You have to forego your ideology. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like my only concern, and again, I don't know yet if I think this is a good or bad thing. It's just that the financial incentives, at least with Project Veritas, have changed from, financial risk to financial opportunity. And it's just too new to me. It's tribal. You feel safe with your tribe. Yep, exactly, Darth Shady. You also have to change your career paradigm because you're not the IT person for very long. I'm assuming that's IT. Yeah, that's fair, Breck. It still is it's still a big risk he's taking, although previous ones were able to monetize. The more whistleblowers there are, the less likely the public will voluntarily offer big donations. Ooh, Frank, we will circle back to this. So, big donations is one thing, but crowdfunding is another thing. Crowdfunding is a bunch of people offering tiny donations. And I think it's fair to question how long this gravy train will last. And of course, you don't need that many whales to compensate for that. But yeah, we'll look at the numbers in a second. Don't you worry. All right, let's continue.
By age 3, children are already starting to apply stereotypes, and research shows that they also may use racist language intentionally at this age.
Okay, again, what is racist? Because unless your parents are racist, it's difficult for me to imagine a 3-year-old saying something that anyone would agree is racist intentionally. I'll just point that out now. Let's continue.
And white children at this age may report explicit or overt negative attitudes towards people of color. So already by age 3, this can happen. By age 4, kids are showing a strong and consistent pro-white, anti-black bias. And at this age, it is seen in the research really significantly against Black boys, but this anti-black bias occurs across gender at this age. At the age of 5, children show many of the same racial attitudes held by adults. By this age, children are really also sensitive to the status of different racial groups in our society and show a high status bias towards white people, which is the socially privileged group in our society. White children show pro-white bias at this age, and it's really important to note also that Black and Latinx children do not show the same
Latinx. We have someone using Latinx. Of course they will cringe.
Preference for their own racial groups at this age.
This is just absolutely absurd to just state categorically that at 5 years old, your children are as racist as the adults, which is implying that the parents are also racist in some manner. I just think it's absurd. I don't know how they don't see it as discriminatory to group an entire race of people, like how they explain that the white children in particular have the particular bias against Black people. And it's like children develop things based on what they're taught. And if they're going to be teaching this to children, then yes, you're going to have more children with a racial mindset because you're teaching children to have a racial mindset. And
okay, so just before we continue, I just wanted to elaborate on something because I'm old enough. I'm old enough to know firsthand what those slides might have been talking about. This hasn't happened in a long time, okay, but. Especially back in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, whenever I would leave the Montreal area and, go in, let's say, either a more rural area like a small village or maybe even a tourist town like Saint-Sauveur, which is, a popular tourist attraction where people come to go skiing. When I would go to, let's say, a restaurant or walking down the street, it's happened several times that some some toddler would look at me like I'm an alien and just stare at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm clearly the first black person this kid's ever seen, and it's does it suck? Yeah, kinda. But is it racist? No. It like, unless we're talking about like the systemic shit. But like, yeah, I get how if some 5-year-old has never seen a black person before, that they would like stare and just it's not malicious. It would be crazy to assign malice to that. But yeah, I've seen it happen like a lot. Again, not in a long time because the diversity is becoming more and more spreading out of the urban areas and into rural areas. But yeah, the whole notion of I think they said like pro-white anti-black bias, that is an extremely uncharitable rephrasing of something that would probably be akin to some toddler staring at the first black person they've ever seen in their life as if they're an alien. Yeah, that children are fascinated by new things. So yeah. All right. I just wanted to go on that rant. I think we have 2 more timestamps to go through. Let's see here. Actually, let's continue this one here. Yeah, Darth Shady, it's probably curiosity. It's definitely curiosity. That, like, again, it kind of sucks. I mean, being stared at in general kind of sucks, but to assign malice to that, especially to a toddler like who's 5 or younger, is madness. Absolute madness. All right.
And when I was growing up as a child, I had a mixed race group of friends, and this never came up. Children don't naturally just look at each other based on their race unless they're taught it. And these people are teaching children to be racist.
Through Hasbro.
Yeah, they want to use Hasbro to push more of this ideology. And this isn't happening in just a vacuum, but it is happening at Hasbro.
Yeah, so the reason I wanted to let that clip play a little longer is because like he said so himself. Like when he was growing up with a diverse group of friends. So of course that shit never came up. Like his friends saw people from all sorts of races early on. So yeah, why would you think in those terms if you're, let's say, 10 years old or younger and you have friends from all sorts of different races? It wouldn't make much sense to think of them in terms of race. It's just Tom, not Tom the Mexican kid, and Joe the Chinese kid. It's just Joe, and it's just Tom. If you grow up like that, it absolutely makes sense that subjects like that would never arise. Let me skip to another here. All right. Oh man. Okay, this one's a doozy. Let's go.
It uses a Marxist lens to look at people as oppressed and oppressors. And then in critical race theory specifically, it divides people who have whiteness as the oppressor and people who lack it as the oppressed. And no matter what, you are split between those two groups. So it's inherently divisive.
There's a pretty definitive conclusion they've come up with. You say this type of labeling can be weaponized against all races.
Oh, for sure.
Not just black people.
So when they say whiteness, generally they do just want to refer to white people, but they will also extend that to anyone who speaks out against critical race theory. You'll often hear that you have implicit whiteness, or you are defending it, or they've called people race traders, but
Race traders.
you will get some pretty bad slurs if you speak up against this. I've been called a coon. I've been called some nasty things.
By whom?
Just by random people that I've spoken to about these issues, and I'm trying to explain to them why teaching people to segregate based on race or by gender or by any other inherent characteristic is wrong. But just to go against the orthodoxy, some people just react to it so negatively.
This is just in your life.
Yeah, this is just in my life.
Just in your life in the past, because you spoke enough about this personally. So,
Yeah. Okay. So, on that, obviously, I can't speak. I can't speak for his experience, but I'll deal with this in reverse order. So, as far as being called a race traitor, being called names, if you speak out against these things, like, I wouldn't say that I've had attacks like this. I wouldn't say that I've been subject to attacks like this. However, I have spent a good amount of years hanging out in more woke circles, and let's just say there's a reason why I decided to put my channel on hold for a couple of years, and there's a reason why what gave me the impetus to relaunch it was one of the improv theaters that I was involved with going out of business. So although no one's ever like called me a race traitor or a coon or whatever, I can totally see the sentiment that might lead to like really shitty outbursts like that. Even though I haven't seen any personally, again, just saying. Now, as far as what he said earlier, on when he was talking about critical race theory, and he said it uses a Marxist lens to look at people as oppressed and oppressors. Geez. I want to push back on this. However, the reason that I can't is because because we've covered this on this channel before. Like, critical race theory is it's a reaction against Marxism and its obsession with class, as far as the scholars who founded it are concerned. So, in theory, it really isn't a Marxist lens. It's a desire to take that Marxist lens and put it to the side so we can focus on race. However, in practice, maybe. I mean, we saw the footage of these trainers saying, like, pro-white anti-black bias in 5-year-olds. God damn it. The teachings of the founders, even if they've been corrupted, if that's how they're being applied in practice in corporate trainings, it's difficult to push back on this, and it's a shame. I really wish leftists were better at making that distinction. But right now, the way things are going, when we think about CRT, we think about white fragility, and we think about how to be anti-racist. And I've said this ad nauseum, like, even people on the left criticize those. They hate it. However, when you see footage like this, it makes it needlessly difficult to push back on this. So yeah, it's really fascinating. But let's take a look at another dimension of this and look at the numbers, because you, Frank, you said that you what was it? Yeah. The more whistleblowers there are, the less likely the public will voluntarily offer big donations. Now, as is the case with all the previous whistleblowers, there was a give, send, go set up for him. So let us take a look here. I have not looked at the numbers today on purpose, so I want this to be a reveal. I'm going to cover the screen on my end because I don't want to see the number. All right. Good. So when I discovered this video about 7 hours after it was released, and it was released on Sunday, and David's Give Send Go is currently at, drum roll, $146,000 out of a goal of 300,000. That's unless Give Send Go is taking half of that, that's still a pretty generous payout. And again, I don't know if I think this is good or bad. It's just a really fascinating profit incentive. And just for further context, where did I put this? Yeah, the bottom here. So yeah, when I first noticed this video, it had already been out for 7 hours. And at that point, his Give Send Go had raised $25,000, specifically $25,600 in about 7 hours. So as far as, big donations, maybe, but, out of, if you're trying to raise $300,000, and in the space of 2 days, you're almost halfway there. Man, I don't know what this whistleblower economy is going to evolve into, but it's really fascinating to watch. And also, David is doing pretty good. Well, first of all, there's this, and second of all, he attended a Turning Point USA event this weekend. Let's take a look at this right here.
His new strength, the hunter becomes the hunted. David, come on stage. How you doing?
So just for context, they debuted this video at Turning Point, and then David walked out. So this is just a quick hello, but let's look at it.
David.
Wow, there's a lot of you. Didn't think I'd ever be doing this, but I think it's important to speak out against critical race theory in our country. This is not the future that Martin Luther King dreamed of, and it's not something that only I could have done. Speaking out is tough, but it's something that each and every one of you is capable of. Come speak to us, speak to Veritas. We will help you. We will help get your message out. And if you find your voice and ground your principles, you can be a hero too. Thank you.
Come seek him out. Click the tweet, click the whole story. You can click on the video.
All right. We've seen this. So, hard not to be cynical of those that monetize their ideology. Yeah. And another thing that, again, I'm still undecided as to whether or not I think this is good, but the notion that, like, let's say I worked at Ford, and then my boss sends a company-wide email asking everyone to put pronouns in their bio. What would my incentive be to, like, start building a case and bring it to James O'Keefe and maybe make $250,000? It's again, I really don't want to. I want to be super charitable to David. I want to be super charitable to David. I'm not saying he's doing this for the money. I'm just saying that he is doing it and there is money. But that in itself, Jesus Christ, this is sounding like I'm passive aggressively impugning him. This is not my intention at all. But I want to point out that for every subsequent whistleblower that goes through this process, it's going to be harder for me to be this charitable, because we'll see how long this gravy chain lasts. But again, I'm happy for David. I agree that the footage that we saw was fucked up, and I would say there is value in knowing. And of course, you know, I don't think James O'Keefe is going to set things up like this if people come to him with things that don't pan out. Human brains are wired to recognize patterns. Yeah. My first year of life in Africa, all my caregivers were black. Yeah, that's true, Frank. Back to Canada at 2.5 years old, I would walk towards black people in public transport thinking they would take care of me. You see, that's reverse racism, Frank. No, it can be racist because it targets white people. But no, that's a really interesting like reversal of the very phenomena that was alluded to in those slides. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really fascinating. Yeah. So listen, I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, please like the video. If you have any questions, comments, or observations, please leave them in the comments below. I do these streams every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. I would love to see you here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Good. I actually had more, but this segment was long enough. Again, tribal feeling safe. Yep. All right. Yeah, the part that I cut out wouldn't have added much value anyway. So yeah, hey, for the 3 of you who are left, thank you so much for still being here. Hey, thanks, Breck. I will pop up Stardew Valley real quick. Because as I keep saying on this channel, I don't like skipping Stardew Valley 2 weeks in a row. So even though it's already 10 past 11, I'll play a day. I almost played. I really wanted to play Stardew Valley like between today and the last stream. The main reason I didn't is because I know Penny's gonna give birth any second, and I know you would be disappointed to miss that, Darth Shady. So. You know, until Penny gives birth, I'm gonna try to like not play. But I would like it to happen eventually. At some point. All right. Let me start her up. Be too long. Oh yeah. I turned up the volume for Project Veritas. This should be good. Hey, we watched videos on stream and it was still decent. Whoop. Well, that didn't go as planned. All right. I'm gonna watch that. I think the stinger just. I think the stinger just didn't work because the game was loading up at the same time. Anyway. Oh yeah, this is where I'm really loving like having the mic off to the side because it's not. I don't need to look around my mic to look at the camera. To look at my keyboard, I mean. All right, no birthdays. Let me just pet my boy. There we go. I have to go into town today. Don't work too hard and eat something for lunch. Did you know that my mother loves parsnip soup? It's her favorite. Oh, cool. Aw, there you go. All right, let's look at the weather. Welcome to Kozu 5. Looks like a storm is approaching. Okay. Welcome to Welwick's Oracle. The spirits are somewhat mildly perturbed. Yeah. Could you be a little less decisive? All right. Yeah, actually, if they're mildly perturbed, I'm not gonna process geodes, but we'll go outside. It is raining. Ooh, sure. I forget who Linus is, and I don't feel like... So the barn doors are open, but... it's raining, so the animals will stay in. Whoops. Yeah, okay. There we go. Did you pet your dog? No, not yet. I don't think there's any like negative consequence to not petting my dog and not filling his water bowl. I'm pretty sure I could just like completely ignore the dog and nothing bad would happen. There we go. Oh, so the pigs won't be making me any money today, but that is fine. Let's collect blueberries. You know what? I'm feeling lazy. I'm just gonna sell all these blueberries. I don't feel like making like blueberry jam or whatever the fuck. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Well, my silo is 20 hay short, and I'm gonna need extra because one silo won't be enough for the winter with the number of animals that I have. But I'm rich, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. All right, just gonna put this here. Oh. You know what? I'm gonna go to the mushroom cave now. And it's nothing but commons. Oh yeah. Okay. What else? Yeah, I might as well pick the fruit trees. Okay. What can I get rid of? These. Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, my inventory is full. Man, I've been considering starting a new game for so that I can play on Twitch. I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm gonna handle that, but one thing is for sure, if y'all see me struggling with my inventory now, but a new game you only have one line, so it's like even worse. Now, on the flip side, you have that much less to do. but still, you know. Anyway. All right, 55 cooking oil. That should be in. Let me just I'm just gonna empty it out. This. Boom. And I'm selling the sushi. Okay. Sell the mayo too. Now, I don't know what to do on an unlucky day like this one. Oh, yeah. It's, before I forget, I'm gonna go to the library. Give Gunter this wheel. Hey, Pam. Down. Donate to museum. Where? Here. Cool. New reward. Beautiful. That was sarcastic. Rewards kind of suck. Yeah. It's always burnt. Sorry. Rewards from the museum. It's always furniture that I never end up using and just put in a chest. And, unlike last time when I was in a hurry, we can see Penny here reading. Hey, honey, it's nice of you to visit me at work. What work? You're reading alone. You're a tutor. You're a tutor, sweetie. Where are the kids? How can you call this work? It's nice of you to visit. Okay, so she's just gonna repeat this. You're not working, sweetie. You're not working. You're just doing what you love doing anyway. You have a fucking library at home. Why the oh, whoops. Why aren't you reading at home? You could have stayed home and read. All right. All right. And people say I carry a lot in my bag. Yeah. All right. Stop. What's up here? Yeah. I'll just put this piece of furniture along with the rest. Hey, Junior. Yeah. I'm gonna need another chest, but I have a chest in my chest, so that'll free up that room. All right. Hey, by the way, just so you know, when the new baby is born, all it's going to be is a pop-up during the night, and then the newborn will just be here in the morning. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, let's sell some cheese. We can find other things to do here. Actually, I just thought of something. So, cheese. It'd be funny if I just opened the barn doors anyway, just for the fuck of it. Okay, so I have an extra 124. So if I do that, so now my silo is full and I have an extra 100. So I'm probably gonna need another 100. But I have an entire extra season to do this, so I'm not worried. Did I sell the ink? Yeah, I sold the ink. I don't know what to do. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go to the dungeon, but I mean the desert. So, oops. I meant to do this and. I'm gonna keep the fishing rod. Let's go to the desert. Close the gate. Nah, there's no consequence to that. Like, the barn doors are closed, so it's not like the animals, and it's also raining tomorrow, so the animals are gonna stay in there. There's no danger. All right. So, the reason I wanted to keep the fishing rod, I know it's an unlucky day, but I haven't fished in the desert in ages. So let's do that. Oh yeah, of course. On an unlucky day, I'm probably not gonna catch much fish, but I'm trying anyway. Okay, 2 more. If I don't catch a fish in the next 2 more tries... Oh. Sandfish. Whoop. 2 in a row, baby. You fucker. I hate fish like this. You better be worth it if I catch you. Oh. Come on. Jesus Christ. Yes. All that for another fucking sandfish. Jesus. All right, 1 more. Wow. Okay, you know what? Fuck this. I've seen this movie before, and it's another sandfish. All right, let's go to the Skull Cavern or whatever the fuck it's called. Oh yeah, I have an iridium pickaxe. Oh boy. Please don't break into a bunch of small slimes. And it broke into a bunch of small slimes. But I have a I'm strategically positioned. This should be good. Okay, that wasn't so bad. But you can imagine how, like, 2 big slimes that both break into small slimes like that, that can be a lot. Okay. Nice. Okay. Cool. I am going to grab a potion. Cool. Ooh. Come on. Ooh. Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Okay, this is a lot harder than I wanted to be. There we go. One more. There we go. Well, I survived. Let me just fruit salad. That's the thing with Stardew Valley is you essentially have a bottomless pit for a stomach, so you could just eat and eat and eat and eat. Oh, there was one more. Okay. Did I unlock the lower level? Yes, I did. That was enough for me for this level. Ooh. Iron. Like a lion in Zion. As we've covered, mummies don't stay dead forever. They kind of just clump into a pile of rags and then come back later. Pretty quickly, actually. It's because it's mildly unlucky. Maybe. Okay. Really? Oh, because mummies just walk towards you. Okay, cool. That's something I can exploit AI-wise. Man, I don't like this level. As soon as I get the stairs, I'm taking them. There'd have to be like a bunch of geodes or something for me to not just... Oh, cool. I got iridium. Yeah, for me to not just take the stairs immediately as soon as I discover them, there'd need to be a damn good reason. And I might be cornered between two mummies right now. Okay, cool. Jeez. Yeah. Jesus, really? Did I like discover the stairs and just forget about him and I'm like walking all the way around for no reason? The stairs better be in here. Oh. Oh shit, I'm almost dead. Good thing I noticed. That would have been embarrassing. Being, like, killed by a fucking a mummy like some malaka. Ah, shit. I did some bad maneuvering there. Yeah, I think I discovered the stairs already. Yeah, exactly. Fuck. That's exactly what I was afraid of, but whatever. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going. Woo. It's getting late. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna take this iron and get skedaddle. I'll eat just in case, because it would be embarrassing to, it would be embarrassing to just die here. Okay, good. That'll be it. All right. Now, chat. I know that I know I say this every week, but I really do have plenty of time. Oh, the potion here. Okay, good. Ah, shit. I abandoned Horsey by the bus stop. And it's not... I don't think it's worth the detour to go and pick up Horsey. So... This... 4 iron ore. If I had a 5th one, I could smelt me a bar. That. What else? That's it. So, with this ruby, I have about an hour. If Doggy's in the way, I'm fucked regardless. So I'm just gonna. Good. And Doggy's not in the way, which is great. There it is. Here. And made it to bed with an hour to spare. Yes. Wait, I'm curious. Okay, a sandfish is worth about $100. Ah, that's fine. All right. Well, the new baby was not born, but it was interesting nonetheless. Yeah. Yeah, the stinger really doesn't work properly when the game is running. That is so funny. But regardless of that, actually, let me just quit the game here. Like that. You know the deal. Thank you so much for watching. You know, the people who are left, you don't need me to pitch. Thank you again. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you next week. Here we go.